Welcome to Zilla Moments by Thomas J. Baker, who you'll find on Substack. Roundhouse reality check. Bruised chin, shattered ego. Zilla moments always leave their mark on us, sometimes literally. This one was no different. It was the fall of 1989. I was in the 4th grade, smack in the middle of boyhood. Shows like Dukes of Hazzard, G.I. Joe, and He-Man filled my mind with tough guy heroes who made fighting look fun and fearless. And let's be honest, all young boys need an outlet for aggression. Back then, a disagreement or a bruised ego could easily snowball into something bigger, a fight. Now, I know it's never good to settle things with fists, but it was the 80s. These things happened. Nobody usually got seriously hurt, and most of the time it ended after a couple of shoves or punches. Sometimes the two boys even walked away with a new friendship or at least a mutual respect. At my school, if you wanted to fight, you didn't do it on school grounds. Too much risk of suspension. Instead, we used phrases like, "I call you out," or "meet me at the dead end after school." For the most part, I got along with everyone and avoided these rituals. But there was one showdown I not only could have avoided, I absolutely should have. That's the Zilla moment. The details are fuzzy. Some disagreement during gym class, maybe over soccer. Whatever it was, I felt wronged, my ego bruised. So naturally, I started tossing around the idea of an after-school fight. My friends egged me on. By lunchtime, it was official. I called him out. We'd meet at the corner across from a bus stop near his house. Here's the thing. I wasn't worried. I had a younger brother and 2 cousins around my age. Roughhousing was normal. Plus, this kid was shorter than me. Easy win, I thought. By the end of the day, word had spread. In reality, maybe 20 kids showed up. But when I replayed the memory in my mind, 200 minimum. I rushed home, dropped my book bag, and headed straight to the corner with my friends Phil and Danny. The crowd was waiting. Then I realized my opponent lived in the house right there. The fight was going to happen on his front lawn. That's when his father came out. He asked who was there to fight his son. I tried to shrink back into the crowd, but someone pointed me out. He looked at me, shook his head, and said, "I don't think this is a good idea. There must be another way." I stubbornly disagreed. He sighed. "Okay, I warned you." Then he turned back inside. Moments later, his son came down the stairs. The crowd stirred. We squared up. I stepped back, puffed up my chest, and said, "Come on, whenever you're ready." What happened next still feels like slow motion. He leaned back, lunged forward, jumped, spun in the air, and his foot connected with my chin before he even saw it coming. I don't remember hitting the ground, just the sound of the crowd gasping. 20 kids, but in my memory, a stadium of thousands. I thank God till this day that smartphones were not invented and there was no social media. This Zilla moment would have certainly made its rounds, if not gone viral. I got up, dazed, humiliated, and very aware that I had just been kicked in the face by someone half my size. I conceded, tucked my tail between my legs, and walked home with my friends. My pride lay shattered on that corner. And here's the kicker, literally. His last name? Lee. Now, I mean no disrespect, but come on, it was the 80s. Bruce Lee was everywhere. How did I not see this coming? So yeah, Zilla moments have a way of smacking us when we least expect it. Sometimes they even kick us right in the mouth. The Teacher's Pet, a story of 2nd grade survival. The 2nd grade parent-teacher conference had finally arrived. early October, about 4 weeks into the school year. I was feeling good about school, maybe even a little confident. My teacher, Mrs. Coleman, was every bit the cliché of a second-grade teacher. A kind smile, soft voice, pastel cardigans. We were getting along great. My homework was always in, tests were aced, and I was convinced this conference would be nothing but glowing praise. But then again, this is a Zilla moment. We should know better by now. There was, of course, one tiny detail I forgot. At the ripe age of 8, I had become quite the social butterfly. The way in which our desks were grouped in clusters of 6 basically had been a social playground for a chatterbox. Eventually, Mrs. Coleman had enough. My punishment? Exile. My desk was yanked from the group and placed right beside hers. She would be my new desk buddy. Fast forward to conference night. My mom got a babysitter, Christine, our next-door neighbor, and off she went to the school. As I sat at home, eating dinner in my pajamas, the horror suddenly hit me. I was doomed. We had decorated our desks with artwork that included our names, so parents would know which seat was assigned to their child, which meant my mom's seat was right next to Mrs. Coleman. Side by side, no escape. I considered running away, maybe asking Christine to call the government for protective custody. I imagined my mom dropping me off at an orphanage and replacing me with a better child, one who didn't run his mouth all day. Instead, I settled on plan B. I'd go to bed early and sleep through the whole thing. Surely by morning her rage would have cooled. It didn't. At 7:45 p.m., I heard the car pull in. My bedroom faced the front yard, and I was a master of neighborhood acoustics. One slam of the door, and I knew it was Mom's red station wagon. The front door flew open. A pause. Then her voice cut through the house. "Where is Thomas?" Then the heavy footsteps down the hall towards my room. My bedroom door crashed open. "Do you know how silly I looked tonight? How embarrassing that was? Why wouldn't you tell me you were sitting next to the teacher?" I considered playing dumb, pretend I had no idea what she meant. But that's what got me here in the first place. Instead, I gave the worst possible answer. "I don't know." Death sentence. Let's just say I got the old school discipline treatment. Times were different back then. If today's kids got spanked, they'd be on the phone with CPS before the handprint faded. My babysitter, Christine, apparently heard the storm, ran for the hills, and later returned sheepishly, just to grab the backpack she left behind. If it happened today, she'd probably show up with a SWAT team. Once the tears settled, I confessed everything. Mom explained how humiliating it felt sitting beside the teacher while the other parents got to mingle like normal people. A million times she told me to be honest with her regarding any trouble or shenanigans in school. It was at that moment I realized this was one of those instances she was describing. Let's just say this wasn't even close to the last time I hadn't been upfront with her. Ironically, Mrs. Coleman turned out to be one of my favorite teachers. At the conference, she admitted I was a pain in her side, but also said I had potential, a great personality, and, here's the kicker, that she was moving my desk back to the group on Monday. Apparently, her plan backfired. She couldn't get any of her own work done sitting next to me. I was now chewing her ears off. In the end, Mrs. Coleman learned the same lesson my mom already knew. Sitting me next to the teacher wasn't a punishment. It was a very distracting full-time job. A kiss to remember. Water fountain rendezvous. Nervously, I looked up at the clock. The minutes dragged like a race car with flat tires. Slowly but surely, 9:30 in the morning was upon me. The note I'd passed earlier had been returned with a single glorious word. Yes! Meet you at the water fountain down the hall, 9:30. It was time. I raised my hand. Yes, Thomas, you may go to the restroom, my teacher said. Perfect. Except the boys' room wasn't my destination. I strolled past it like I had somewhere far more important to be. Around the corner, 10 feet more, and there it was, the water fountain. I turned just as she appeared. Amanda. She didn't hesitate. Neither did I. Before she could speak, I pulled her close, tucked her hair behind her ear, slid my hand to the back of her neck, and kissed her. Slow at first. Then our tongues met, moving like the soap opera couples I'd seen while homesick from school. All my children's-style passion. It was innocent, but naughty. It was magic. When we finally broke apart, she gazed into my eyes and said the most romantic thing I'd ever heard. I'll never kiss another's lips again. Wait, what? Okay, the reality of this Zilla moment plays out slightly different. 5th grade. My curiosity about the opposite sex was on the rise, fueled by countless homesick afternoons watching my mom's soaps she could not miss. I'd never kissed a girl, really kissed. Amanda, the girl I'd been play-teasing for years at recess and in the classroom, seemed like the right one to test the waters with. We started with harmless notes. Our little adolescent crush grew and grew, along with my courage. Eventually, the topic of kissing was mentioned. I devised a master plan. We would meet at the water fountain in the 6th grade wing, just around the corner from the classrooms and bathrooms, safely out of sight. Her reply came back through a chain of students. Yes, with a tiny heart. Jackpot. At 9:30, I raised my hand and asked to use the restroom. Permission granted. No eye contact with Amanda. Maybe she'd forget. She didn't. She turned the corner, smiled shyly, and I took her hand. A quick peck first. Then I asked, "Want to try it longer?" She nodded. 3 seconds in, I slid my tongue forward, thinking that was what people did. Her eyes widened. She jumped back. "Oh my God, that was gross! You stuck your tongue in my mouth!" I was crushed, forever known as the boy who dishes out disgusting kisses. My tongue needed to be cut from my mouth. Thankfully, she smiled anyway and hurried back to class. We avoided each other at lunch and recess. The school day was slowly coming to an end. I sat at my desk, devastated. Then, a note began making its way toward me. It was from Amanda. "I'm so sorry for what I said. I really like you. I think I love you. Can we try again tomorrow? Same time, same place? I'll be better, promise." 11 years old, in love, and another kiss on the books? I wrote back instantly. "I love you too. Yes." The next day we were pros. Amanda walked right up, grabbed my hand, and kissed me. 10 seconds, tongues wrestling like seasoned soap opera veterans. When we stopped, she asked, "Was that better?" Better? I was floating. Our water fountain sessions grew, twice a day, then 3 times. We were unstoppable. Until Amanda's parents overheard her talking about our spot to a friend while on the phone, and exactly what was occurring there. The next morning, my name came over the PA, report to the principal's office. Apparently, her parents had called the school about my extracurricular activities. The principal gave me the what is and isn't appropriate talk and strongly suggested I avoid any unsupervised rendezvous. That, and tried to keep my tongue out of other female students' mouths. I wanted to instantly evaporate. And yes, my mother found out. I survived. Barely. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how I became the Casanova of the 5th grade water fountain. Thanks for listening to Zilla Moments. If this story stirred something in you, regret, reflection, or a memory of your own, I'm grateful you're here. Got your own Zilla moment? Share it in the comments. I'd love to hear it. Thanks for listening. I'm Chris Kepler, and I hope you enjoyed listening to these stories as much as I enjoyed narrating them. I'd love for more people to hear these wonderful stories, so please share and tell your friends.